So we'll start this lesson by opening the file called characterformatting.indd. You'll find that file in Lesson 8 of Part 1 of your project files. Now if you're on Windows, you might be seeing something slightly different. Let's select the Type tool, select this text, and you'll notice that the font right now is Times. Depending on the fonts that you have installed on Windows, you might be seeing a missing font mismatch, and this text might be highlighted in pink, but that's okay because the font is the first thing we're going to change. So press Command A to select all of your text. That would be Control A on Windows, and come up here to the Control panel where we're going to change the font. Now remember, the Control panel is context sensitive. That means it will change based on what we have selected. In this case, we're working with text. And when we work with text, there's two different modes to the control panel. Those are indicated by these two icons here on the left-hand side. The paragraph mode is here at the bottom. That's indicated by the little paragraph marker. And when we're working in character mode, we want the letter A, that A icon, to be pressed. So make sure that the A icon is depressed. And now let's edit these attributes. Now there are at least 3 ways to do anything in an Adobe application. The control panel is just one option. If you come over here on the right-hand side, we do have the character panel where you can make these changes as well. I prefer the control panel up here at the top because it's a single consolidated place to make all these changes. Now, in terms of choosing a font, the easiest way might be to click this pull-down menu and scroll up and down all of your options. You'll notice here you have several visual cues to what's going on. First, on the left-hand side of your fonts, you'll have a little icon. The TT indicates that that is a TrueType font. The red A indicates that that is a PostScript font, and the O indicates that it is an OpenType font. Now we'll talk more about those different font formats in a moment. But in the meantime, notice also here on the right-hand side that we're actually getting a WYSIWYG, that's what you see is what you get, a visual font preview sample. So hopefully you'll do a little bit less guessing and instead get the right font the first time. Now we can scroll up this list and see all of these options. Remember that you can control this preview size in the application preferences if you want a larger or smaller preview. Now if you have a lot of fonts installed, navigating this list can be a little unwieldy. So instead you also have another option. I would just insert my cursor inside of the font field here in the control panel and start using your up and down arrow keys. What this will do is it will scroll through the list in alphabetical order of all of the fonts that you have installed and enabled. This is an interesting way to see a quick preview in the context of your layout of your various fonts. Now if you know a specific font you want to use, well, go ahead and select the text inside that font field and start typing the name of the font. In this case, let's all agree to choose Minion Pro. So I'll start typing M-I-N. Now I'll press the Tab key because in addition to the font family, we can choose the specific face or the variation of that font. Now some fonts will only have regular or medium. Other fonts, especially a lot of OpenType fonts, have several variations. We'll stick with regular for now, but just know that you may have some more options available to you. Now before I forget, there's one other important aspect to this. Some folks are used to page layout applications that offer them a faux bold or a faux italic even though the font does not have a bold or italic face. InDesign does not let you do faux bold and faux italic. I think that's a really good thing because if you use those variations and then try to print it on a professional printing press, you're going to have problems. InDesign is targeted to the professional designer doing professional printing, and so those faux bold and faux italic options are not available. That's a good thing in my opinion. So if you're hunting for them, you have to have a font with those faces available. Now let's click on the font menu one more time and take a look at Minion Pro. Notice the icon next to Minion Pro. It's the O. Remember, that's for OpenType fonts. And what is special about an OpenType font? Well, it's a newer font technology just in the last couple of years that was co-created by Adobe Systems and Microsoft. And the beauty of the OpenType format is that it's the same format for Macintosh and Windows. Everybody knows that font is a 4-letter word. It's full of all sorts of problems and hassles. OpenType really helps eliminate a lot of those most common frustrations with dealing with fonts. Not only does OpenType help solve the cross-platform issues, But instead of being limited to 256 characters per font, OpenType fonts can have more than 65,000 characters per font. With that increased character limit, it makes it much easier to publish in multiple languages and deal with extended character sets all in one font. The other reason I've chosen Minion Pro for us to work with is it's bundled with InDesign CS3 and Creative Suite CS3. That means that everybody has access to this font. You might have some fonts that I don't have installed, and heck, you saw my list. That's one long list of fonts. You might not have all of those available on your system, but by choosing Minion Pro Regular, we're all guaranteed to have the same fonts because we all have InDesign CS3.